3 years ago, Lieutenant Kelley disappeared from the United States Navy. No farewell speech, no public explanation, no official story. One day, she was a respected naval officer, and the next day, she was simply gone. To the outside world, it looked like a quiet retirement, but the truth was far more complicated. Lieutenant Kelley had spent most of her life fighting to earn that uniform. She had survived brutal training, she had proven herself in high-risk missions, and she had earned the respect of some of the toughest commanders in the Navy. So when she suddenly walked away, people began asking questions. Why would an officer with a promising career suddenly disappear? What really happened during her final mission, and why did the Navy refuse to talk about it? For 3 years, no one heard anything from Kelley. She avoided the ocean, she avoided military bases, and most importantly, she avoided the past. But then one night, something unexpected happened. A phone call, not from a friend, not from family, but from someone inside the Navy. Someone who knew exactly why Kelley had left. And that call came with a message. The mission that ended her career was not over. In fact, something had gone terribly wrong, and now the Navy needed the one person who understood that mission better than anyone else, Lieutenant Kelley. But before we discover why she was called back and what really happened during that mysterious mission, we need to go back to where the story truly begins. Because the truth behind Kelley's disappearance is far more dangerous than anyone realized. Long before she ever wore the uniform of the United States Navy, Lieutenant Kelley had only one dream: to serve. She grew up near the coast, where the ocean was always in view. As a child, she often stood near the shore, watching naval ships move slowly across the horizon. To most people, they were just ships, but to Kelley, they meant something different. They meant purpose, they meant responsibility, and they meant honor. By the time she turned 18, she had already made her decision. She wanted to join the Navy. Training was not easy. In fact, it was far more difficult than she had imagined. The physical tests pushed every recruit to their limits. The mental pressure was constant, and many people who started the training never finished it. But Kelley refused to quit. Whenever the pressure increased, she focused. Whenever the situation became difficult, she stayed calm. Her instructors noticed something unusual about her. She didn't panic under pressure. She thought clearly, and in the military, that is one of the most valuable qualities an officer can have. Within a few years, Kelley had earned the respect of her commanders and the trust of her crew. She was promoted to lieutenant. Lieutenant Kelley, a dependable officer, a capable leader, someone commanders relied on during difficult missions. But in the military, even the most promising careers can change in a single moment. One mission, one decision, and suddenly, everything is different. 3 years ago, Kelley was assigned to a classified naval operation. Very few details were shared with the crew. Orders were brief. Information was limited, but something about the mission immediately felt strange. The instructions were unclear, some of the data didn't make sense, and yet the mission continued forward. Then, something happened, something no one had expected, a situation that forced Kelley to make a decision in seconds, a decision that would change her life. The mission ended badly, very badly. Official reports later blamed confusion, miscommunication, operational failure, but Kelley knew something wasn't right. Something about that mission had never made sense, and shortly after the operation ended, Kelley quietly left the Navy. No public explanation, no defense, no argument. She simply disappeared from the service, and the Navy closed the case. Or at least, that's what everyone believed. For the next 3 years, Kelley tried to move forward with her life. She avoided conversations about the Navy, she stayed away from military bases, and most of all, she stayed away from the ocean. Because every time she looked at it, she remembered that mission. The questions, the confusion, in the feeling that something important had been hidden from her. Then, one evening, her phone rang. The number was unknown. She almost ignored it. Almost, but something made her answer. The voice on the other end immediately caught her attention. It was Commander Harris, her former commanding officer. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Harris finally said, "Lieutenant Kelley, we need to talk." The next morning they met near the harbor. Harris looked different, older, more serious. Without wasting time, he placed a folder on the table. Inside were satellite images, coordinates, and classified reports. Kelley looked down at the photographs and instantly recognized the location. Her expression changed because the images showed the same place, the same operation, the same mission that had ended her career. She slowly looked back at Harris. "Why are you showing me this?" Harris leaned forward slightly. Because the situation had started again. The problem they believed was finished 3 years ago had returned, and now something even more disturbing was happening. People connected to that original mission were disappearing, one by one. Kelley felt a cold chill run through her, because that could only mean one thing. Someone knew what really happened during that mission, and someone was trying to make sure the truth never came out. Later that evening, Kelley stood alone near the harbor, looking out across the ocean. For 3 years, she had tried to leave that life behind, but now the past had found her again. Returning to the Navy meant danger, but staying away meant the truth might remain hidden forever. After a long silence, Kelley finally made her decision. She picked up her phone and called Harris. "I'll come back." There was a short pause on the other line of the line. Then Harris asked quietly, "Are you sure?" Kelley looked out toward the dark water once more and answered honestly, "No, but I need to know the truth." 2 days later, Lieutenant Kelley stood once again on the deck of a naval ship. The wind was strong. The ocean stretched endlessly ahead. But this time, she wasn't returning just to complete a mission. She was returning to uncover what really happened. Because the deeper she looked into the past, the clearer one thing became. 3 years ago, that mission didn't fail by accident. Someone made sure it failed. And whoever that person was might still be watching.